Hi everybody. Happy Sunday. Freezing. Leslie the little Plazz here. Zazoo Plazz. Freezing out in the woods. The wind's picking up. I might need I don't know, oh, I didn't bring my glasses. But I got my trusty lantern here. See, I found a little hook on the tree where I can hang my lantern. So I thought that was going to work. But I think it's a little too, wait, maybe if I could put it now. Yeah, see? It's a little too high up there, but hopefully it'll work. So actually, I might actually have to hold it. Then I can see my notes. Feel a little like the old time, you know. The Legends of Sleepy Hollow. Yeah. What is it? October 2nd, 2022. Leslie the little Plazz, Zazoo Plazz. In the woods. Got a different tree this week. October 2nd, 2022. Wow. So yeah, here in Connecticut, it's been really windy. So I think we got the remnants of the terrible hurricane that hit Florida. Came up the East Coast. We got a little rain over the weekend, but woke up today to howling winds. So I've had, and it's Sting's birthday, so I've had King of Pain running circles inside my brain all day long. Get that right off, right first thing. And there's a rag on a flagpole whipping in the wind, and the world's turning circles inside my brain. Happy birthday, Sting. I think he's 70 or 71, something like that. But that particular song, I have to say, was one of my favorites because it was that album, Synchronicity, is the best. I had it on cassette. It's the last Police album, you know, with the 3 strips going across. That was awesome. It came out my senior year in high school, which I know, like, there's some kids out there who, like millennials, who were just like born when I was graduating high school. But that was really, I hear those songs and I think about, you know, the summer after high school and before college, and just like Sting was awesome, and the Police, you know, and he's been on his own for so long. I forgot he was part of the Police. These kids going, what's the Police? It's a band. It's a great band, of which, you know, Sting probably was the leader and wrote most of the songs. But that particular song, King of Pain, that's a great example of a song that changes with time, doesn't it? Like when you're a teenager and you think, you know what, pain to a teenager is, you know, heartache and breaking up with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, and, you know, the world seems bleak, but then you get over it, and, you know, then you move on to your next heartache, whatever, job loss, or, you know, whatever. And then you reach this point in life where it's like, well, I keep hoping that, you know, things are going to turn around, but looks like this is my destiny. To be constantly, you know, dealing with one thing after the next. And so such is life, but that's what I'm going to talk about today. The more you learn, like, you know, through astrology, the more I learn, of course, the more I realize I don't know. But it puts it all in perspective, you know? Like, as far as what you think is important at a certain age, right? So that's one way that you kind of rise above it, you know, you sort of take the rain away. He's saying he hopes somebody out there is going to take away the rain, R-E-I-G, REIGN, like the reign of a king, like King Charles. This fancy new logo. But, in reality, he's always going to be the king. Because if you think about it, we are the king of our own pain, aren't we? We're the one who can issue the orders and take it away, right? It's not somebody out there. We know our pain better than anybody. I know Zazoo Plazz better than anybody because I am Zazoo Plazz. You see there? So we become the experts in our own story. Whatever your story might be, you become the expert. And you know your stories, right? Like, you grow up with your parents, your parents and your grandparents, and they always tell the same stories, right? You got that one crazy aunt who was born on your birthday. She used to put on her fur coat and parade around town while her husband was having an affair behind her back or something. And then she found out about it. And she went all Martha Mitchell on him. I don't know. I'm watching Gaslit. And I'm like, Martha Mitchell's out there like, talking about water. Now those things happened when I was a little kid. I was like 6 years old when all that stuff was going down. 7, maybe. And, oh, it's a beautiful sunset over there. Wow, I can see it's like little strips of orange in the sky. I don't know if can I get that? Can I turn it around and look at that? Wow, it's amazing. So anyway, yeah, I wasn't going to talk about that today, but I don't know. I'm just grabbing just example. So you got when you're little, you've got the family stories about the aunts and the uncles and the one how your grandfather was going to marry your grandmother's sister, but her father said no, you've got to go out with this one because she's older. You can't go out with the younger sister. The older one, I gotta get the older one married off first. So you see what I mean? So these are the stories we hear, and it's funny, isn't it? Your grandmother. It's just the stories that come out after people are gone. Those are the stories. It's like, why the heck didn't we talk about this when they were around? And because everybody was like, oh, no, you can't talk about that. And then you get to the point where you're out in the woods talking to yourself and about all this stuff, because the reason we're dealing with it is because they didn't deal with it. So then it filters down, and it reaches a point in the generations where you got one person. It's like you inherit a house, right? And your great-great-grandparents lived there, and your great-grandparents, and your grandparents, and your parents. And then finally the house comes to you, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to live in this house. It's my turn. And then you go and you find out that, like my grandmother's, you go in the basement, and it was scary down there with, like, spiders and, who knows what, like, things in jars that have been stuck there for a long time. And, at least I had a very vivid imagination as a child. And I would think, bats and like heads in jars and, preserved, kind of like fossilized things and cocoons and, ghoulish, kind of like you go in the house and it's the Rocky Horror Picture Show doing the time warp. Right? So anyway, what was I talking about? Mercury retrograde is ending today. Woohoo! So yeah. So anyway, you inherit this house, and you go in, and there's all this, you gotta, before you, ow! This tree is moving. This tree is actually moving. It's not that steady. Look at that. Wow, it's freaking moving. Anyway, I hope it doesn't fall down on me. It's got all these like spiny little branches sticking out, and it looks like it's going any minute. Yikes, I better make this quick. So anyway, I just leaned on it. It's like, it's not as steady as I thought. Some lady in one of my groups online, she's like, oh, you gotta stay with the same tree every week. Get to know it. Like, no. Now this is a very shaky tree. If I checked this out a little bit more, I probably wouldn't be leaning here, but anyway. Makes it a little, now that we're into October, now it's time to scare the crap out of myself, like I do every year. So anyway, yeah, so, so what you have to do, in order to live in the house and make good new memories, you have to clean out the old stuff first. I feel like in my dreams I do that. I feel like I go down into those basements. I was afraid to go in as a kid, and I shine the light down there. Oh, it's just, that old gas furnace, and it's just some stuff, some old, I don't know, an old shovel, and just an old, just cobwebs and things, old stuff, Once you shine the light on it, you're like, gee, it's not as bad as I thought. Just a few things to give to charity, and maybe some people can, use those, and we, clean this up and haul away the junk, and a couple of coats of fresh paint, and no problem. No better or worse than anybody else's basement. It's my basement. So, that's what we're doing. That's what we're getting done these days. My son moved into his new place, and my dad, this is awesome. My dad was able to get rid of some stuff that had been in my mother's bedroom, some old dressers. My son needed a dresser, and my mom didn't need hers anymore. And my dad wanted to get it out of the house. So, passed it along. And I talk about this a lot in my book, Zazoo Plazz. About furniture. Repurposing, reusing, cleaning up and passing on in better shape than you found it. So we're not expected to just come in this life and just take, and just get by. Just give. No, we have to improve. All right? It's like God is saying, well, we need some value added here. It's like the parable of this. Jesus is talking about. Well, the apostles or whatever asked him, how do we increase our faith? And he said, if you had faith the size of a mustard seed, you could, tell the tree to uproot itself, and But it's true, really. It doesn't take much, One person with incredible faith can do amazing things. Faith in themselves, faith in God, their spirit, the spirit source, faith in the, creative ability. I got a lot of faith leaning against this tree. But if you get to the point where you are not afraid because you're always taken care of no matter what, you could go through one of those. You could be like that guy standing out in the middle of the hurricane telling the news. And then he goes and rescues some lady, gets her out of the car. He's carrying her little purse. That guy is awesome. I love that. But okay, so there's a perfect example, right? If he had just been doing his job, he would have said, "The heck with that, you know, I'm reporting on the hurricane. I can't go help that lady." But he said, "Ah, the heck with this." And he goes out in the flood and he gets the lady out of her car. All right, that's the kind of thing that Jesus is talking about. It's like, you know, it's like kind of the opposite of quiet quitting, right? So, but here's the difference. It has to be something that means a lot to you. If you find yourself just putting in your hours to just get the heck out, that is an indication, beyond a doubt, that you're doing the wrong thing. Because if you were doing the right thing, you'd actually be enjoying yourself. You'd be laughing and you'd be filled with joy. You might be wet, but then after you dry out, you made a new friend, like that guy, the reporter. So, okay, so it depends on. It ceases to be pain when you were in a state of joy doing what you love to do. Even if you're freezing your hands off because you forgot to bring your gloves, and it's like, here in New England, it goes from, we drop off a cliff. We turn the corner into October, and I'm like, okay, I went to sleep in a short sleeve t-shirt and a pair of pajama pants, and when I get up, I've got like a long sleeve shirt in my bathrobe and 2 quilts over me and a blanket. I think ever since I came back from Arizona, my blood got thinner or something, because I'm just freezing. So, so I think it kind of, that always bothered me. That, that reading, the mustard seed. I guess I never saw a mustard seed when they do sell them. But I guess you have to see, how small a mustard seed really is. And I was thinking as a kid, I would always hear mustard and I'd be like, oh, like that, the Gulden's mustard, that stuff that you used to use, the sort of like the brown mustard. And then, my mother never bought the yellow kind. My grandmother used to get that, or my husband. I never really... I have this funny mustard story. When I met him, actually, we were working in a food tent at the Greater Hartford Open Golf Tournament. And so people would come up and we'd get them hot hamburgers and hot dogs, get them out of the hot oven. And there were condiment stations there, with ketchup and mustard. And I guess we were filling up a container with some mustard or something, and I had just met him, and I just met my husband, and I pushed down on one of those mustard things, and I squirted mustard all over him. Oh, God. So that was one of those, rom-com, meet cute moments, except, I don't think he was laughing too much, but it's par for the course, so to speak. Pardon the golf humor. The geese are back. They must have heard my jokes. Hi, guys. Must be fall. The geese are back. Wow. Yeah, so, that always bothered me, that reading, where the servant, he said, which among you would tell your servant who's just come in out of the fields to, sit down, pull up a seat? No, you would say to them, go wait on me. Wait, set the table, bring my food. Don't sit in that good chair, sit in that old crappy broken chair that squeaks. Only after you help set the table. And that's it. And you're dismissed. You can leave. Who among you would do that? Probably a lot of people. If you're getting paid. if you're paying them, you know, put on your apron. No, even better, put on your capron. Remember, you're a superhero, right? Don't just put on your apron, put on your Zazoo capron with the cape in the back. And remind yourself, even if you're waiting on people, even if you are doing whatever you have to do to make a living and scrape by, you've got, on the back, you've got a cape and you can fly. You have the strength of a superhero. You could uproot trees. See that? See what I did there? Oh, it's getting kind of cold. Oh. And yeah, I'm going to have to dig out the mittens, I think, next week. But yeah, so bear your share of hardship, is what it says. Do over and above what is asked. So, yeah, that's kind of the opposite of quiet quitting. But really, it's deciding to spend your time doing what you were born to do here. And for me, lately, that's been doing a lot of astrology and finding out some interesting stuff and writing. And I have quite a few people like, oh, you know, asking my dad, asking people, yeah, you coming out with some new stories? And I can't wait to do that. Sometimes you need to spend some time cleaning out your basement before you can build the new house and take it over. You know, sometimes you have to do a few little housekeeping items, little housekeeping business before you can build your house. So while I'm doing a bit of writing, and I'm doing a lot of building of community online, and yeah, it's an interesting time. It's all good. You know, I guess I'm just spending a lot more time figuring out, you know, just being rather than doing. Because it's kind of the opposite, isn't it, to what we're always taught, especially here in the West, in the U.S., is if you're not doing, you're not worth anything, right? I took a look at I saw a chart this week. I was looking at my finances. It showed, you know, how much I earned like every year since I turned 16. You know, one of those charts you can go and look up. And, you know, it was amazing. It's like that, you know, the years that I was happiest, it seemed were the years when I was writing and I didn't make enough money to have to pay taxes. When I was freelance writing and raising my kids when they were babies, those are the years there were goose eggs. I'm like, really? You know, because sometimes with women, the external world does not value what we do. And yet the human race could not exist without us. Think about that. Your worth is determined by more than what you earn. Yes, money it's a form of energy, it's a form of, you know, progress, I guess. It's what we use to, you know, pay for our, I don't know, our rent on the earth. But it's not everything, and it's certainly not in the spiritual realm. So, you know, you got to get past that. You got to get past the feeling that you're only worth, you know, like those people online, you know, they Google celebrities and they go, oh, what's so-and-so's net worth? And if you're like me, you're like, really? It's only 125 million? Like, what? Are you kidding me? That's like a lot of money. So anyway, it's gotten very dark. So I'm going to go now. I'll find my way out of the woods. I'll talk to you next week. Everybody, yeah. Go wear your capron and be your superhero self. And I'll talk to you next week. Zazoo Plazz, signing out.